Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Navigating Docker with Docker Captains, in which we invite Docker expert and learn about their experience and journey about Docker. I'm Pradumna Saraf. Today we have Francesco. Francesco is a developer advocate at daily.dev. He's a super cool person on Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere, super active on the socials, and he's a Docker captain as well. So I will let Francesco to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Pradumna, for inviting me. You already said almost everything. I'm very active on social media, Twitter, YouTube, public speaker. We met in Goa some weeks ago. And yes, so let's get started. This will be more about Docker than my current developer advocate position, but I was also a developer advocate for a company related to Docker in the past. And I think 100% that my DevRel career started because I became a Docker captain. But we will know more in this interview.
That will be super excited to learn about that. I have to prepare some question to understand your journey better. So let's get started. My very first question to you: when you get first involved in Docker and Docker community?
Okay, so hear me out because I never said the whole story. So just for you, Praduma, I never said this on any social media. So this is an exclusive. So I started coding in Unity 3D in C#, and I wanted to create a game. So at some point, but I was not experienced in development. So at some point, I had the feeling to create a sort of backend. So I started to create a backend and a Node.js application. And then I said, okay, how do I deploy it? So I started from, it was 2015, by the way, so it was not 2023. So I started by my issue. And then at some point, this Docker thing popped out. Said like, okay, develop once, deploy everywhere. It's interesting. And then I took an Udemy course from Brett Fisher on, I think it's one of the most viewed course. And I really felt in love with Docker. So Dockers, I didn't check the Docker because, I don't know, Twitter told me to do this. I was not using Twitter. It was more me like started from a problem that I had for something that I wanted to develop. And then I tried it and I really felt in love with the simplicity. I like the fact that Docker is agnostic. So you have something that works with almost everything. It's similar to the concept of daily.dev. Like I work here at daily.dev because it allows me to do any possible collaboration. So I like this kind of tools and ways because I want to be connected with everyone, and having a way to be connected with everyone. And from a Docker perspective, you can basically create this with a similar process, developer experience. I think that Docker has a great developer experience. So it's similar. If you switch from JavaScript to Python, the experience is very similar. I also very serious about this stuff.
Love the way you put it and double down on the Brett Fisher thing. I also took the Brett Fisher course and learned Docker from him itself. My second question is, what there are something specific that propelled you to achieve Docker captain status?
Yes. So two main things. So first thing, when I started my social media journey, I was already a developer. I was not looking for a role. I was not looking for a DevRel role. I was in lockdown here in Italy. We had a kind of strong, hard lockdown. So I felt a bit, say, down. So I started creating memes on social media. So this is how I started, because I didn't need like to look for a job on social media, but I started to see some value, and I also think that we've been connected for a while. But after that, and after starting my YouTube channel, at some point I wanted to start creating videos about Docker. So I started to create videos about Docker. I stopped posting memes almost every day, and I focused more on creating Docker tips for a while. I think it has been 6 months. So since September 2020, now, wow, 3 years as fast, to May, June 2021. And then something happened that I think that, when there is like, the extra mile, the last drop. So in May 2021, there was the DockerCon. It was a live event, a webinar event. And I decided to do something a bit crazy. You know that I do crazy stuff. And so once it has been that I watched the DockerCon from my YouTube account. It was like a 9-hour event, something like that. So I did a live stream of 9 hours. I think it was one of my. I was not that used to do live streams, so it was one of the first big live streams. And after that, since I was not happy enough with my craziness, I decided to edit the video. So I compressed 9 hours of DockerCon in 20 minutes. That video is still available on my YouTube channel. So to do this, basically, I worked non-stop for 2 days. I was not working for any company, and in that exact days, so I dedicated a whole weekend, 3-4 days, just to Docker. And I think that Docker at that point noticed me. So it was like the extra mile that really helped. And I still remember receiving that email. And I still remember that email says like, Francesco, we would like you to get involved in something called the Docker Campus. I knew exactly what was that. So they was trying to explain what was that, but I already knew exactly. A fun fact is that when I quit my job, it was March 2021, I was working for the European Space Agency, I put a 5 years plan to become a Docker captain. So it was March 2021. And when I achieved this in June, I said, okay, now I need another goal, because it was like a really long-term goal, I'd say. It was also a person on Twitter who told me, like, when will you become a Docker captain? He was just trying to push me, like, so I replied to him, like, after some months. So I think that this helped me to become a Docker captain. So as many things that happened in my life recently, related to social media and content creation. When I mix these two things with my craziness, usually something good happens. So this is the story.
Wow, that is absolutely crazy. And the thing is, the way you get into that, the get into the visibility of the Docker, like creating a whole live stream and shrinking down into 20 minutes. Of course, I will link down in the comments, and people will watch out that. Let's head over to the third question. In your opinion, what are the some most underappreciated features or benefit using of Docker?
Yeah, before I answer, let me get a sip of water. Sorry. This is the swag that I got for being a Docker captain. So, underappreciated features. So, I have many, but I think that one of the most underappreciated features is the compatibility over different architectures. So what does it mean? So we have computers and we have different architectures. We have x86, we have ARM, we have different types of architectures. And I'm not talking about the operating system, I'm talking about the hardware. So when a software, when a tool allows you to work seamlessly between two architectures, this seems that, I don't know, it's like it creates really a good connection between not just operating systems, but if you now, for example, now use Docker on the AIM1, so the ARM processor. And for some people, they don't even understand the difference. They say, okay, this is just a Mac, it should just work. But it's not like that. It's not that easy as it seems. So I think that Docker will help in the transition, or maybe just, let's say, having different architectures in the same area. Otherwise, it will be really crazy. Like whenever I do something on a Mac or on an ARM processor, I should change, make a different build. It will be really crazy. So I think this is one of the most underappreciated features, because people just suppose that it should just work, but it's like having a diesel and fuel-based car. They look similar, but they are not. So it's the same concept with the architectures with PCs.
I really love the analogy of the car with this architecture. Of course, like it looks simple, but there is lots of things go behind the scene and to make it work. Yeah, thank you for that answer. My next question is: can you share an epic failure you experienced as a developer and what you learned from it?
Yeah, so I never experienced any failure in my life, so we can skip this question. No. Okay, so I should not say this, but I'd say this anyway because now I'm not working there anymore. So once I pushed a secret key while I was working on the European Space Agency. So this is the first time that I say this publicly, let's say on a podcast. It was just a couple of seconds until I realized it. But basically, when you have that a very long day, I arrived at 8 a.m. I was the first in the office, and then I worked until 6 p.m., 7 p.m. I said, I just want to go home. So just last push, and I want to go. It was just a fix, a type. I don't know. It was something, but I don't know why I did something strange. I was working because I was working on another repository. It's a long story. So I committed the secret key and I pushed that on GitHub. So I think that I was the only person who got this, but still, so I feel that was like so I stayed probably 1 more hour in the office to fix this, double check that everything was right, and yeah, I still remember that. So probably this is one failure, and this is a lesson that probably you should go home at some point. That never do this, never do like this delicate stuff at the end of your day. So probably a good thing could be to make, if you work, especially in an office, don't do the push like the second before you leave the office. Just do this. Just you can do this like at 2, 3 p.m. and then you start working on the next day thing. So this is something. I hope they're not getting in trouble for this, Pradumna. This is a very spicy interview.
I think every developer once in a while they push their keys to the GitHub, and of course, thanks to the GitHub now, they have a very good security. When you push, like you get an email notification, everything.
Yeah, but so, something is if it's your personal VI key, okay. But if it's a billionaire company, like it's a bit different. That's the thing. So it's just this is just an example, by the way. I did even something else, but let's say so. So yes, but I think that we can share this. There is no issue, and sometimes people they tend to think like just because we got some followers, we never made these rookie mistakes, but probably maybe we did even more. So
agree. So my next question is, what are the key ingredients to build an amazing engineering culture?
Wow, that's a hard one because engineers are usually busy, very skeptic, and they want to do their own stuff. So usually, from my perspective, I think that engineers, software engineers, let's say, on engineers in general, they want to focus more on the work. They don't want to just let's say do random chats unless it's with other engineers. So that's the caveat. So key ingredients to building an engineering culture. It's I think it should always start by doing a list of priorities, and I still think that people should be at the zero index because it's very important to put priorities. So people should always be first, and then there is all the engineering, the plans, the tech stack. But it's very important because sometimes we are a bit nerdy about like using a technology instead of another. We saw the JavaScript, TypeScript drama over the social media in the past days. So we know it's like, again, doing analogies with cars and motorcycles. We have our like preferences. You can have your preferences, I can have my preferences, and we can literally talk about this all day long, and we will never get out of this because you have your opinions. I'll try to convince you, you'll try to convince me, and this is probably something that hardly happens. So instead of that, we should always focus on the connection and try to see if there is something in common, let's say, between these engineers, because engineers are humans, are human beings. So being a subset of human beings, they like do technical stuff. And but around that, I think that engineers can absolutely enjoy going to parties, dance, doing karaoke, and all that stuff. But they have to go in the right environment. That's I think that could really create an amazing culture, because the thing is that you can create a cool group of people if the people have something in common. So engineers already have something in common. It's like having people who are playing an instrument. If you put them all together in a room, you'll probably have a concert at some point because they share their interest. So, and engineering and say software can be a bit boring. And I say this because I come from the sports world, and compared to the sports, tech is boring. I am boring. So tech is boring because we are sitting on PCs, we are using the technology, but it doesn't have to be just that. We should understand that we have something in common. And yes, probably that would really make amazing engineering culture.
Yeah, and really like about your point about the preferences, because agree with the controversy, because everyone has their own preferences and every technology is there to solve any certain problem. So it's not a good or bad, it's more like which technology fits you well. I agree with your point 100%. So
Yeah,
yeah, my next.
yeah. No, I mean, there are people who, for example, they don't like Docker, but probably they even don't understand it, or maybe they just don't need it. But I mean, if you don't need it, I mean, I don't need makeup, but this doesn't mean that someone doesn't find value in that. So we should understand this. So this is why, for example, there are some people even advocating against like Docker containerization. But I think this is based on limited knowledge, and maybe they don't need it, but maybe someone else needs that for sure. So yes, that's it.
Really like that point. Really like that point. I think we are at the end of the interview. This is my last question. Tell us about a new project you're excited about or something you are learning. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always learning, Pradumna, but I have different projects. I think one of my favorite ones that I want to go back and working on is the content box project, which is also related to Docker because I have a double DevOps section. So this starts as a side project, as usually is on my side. Of course, open source. Of course, everything is free. I don't want for now even get a single cent out of it. And it's related to Docker because I wanted to create some sections. So content box, this concept is that if you're a content creator and you are a bit, let's say, disorganized or a bit messy like me, or you have, like, I don't know, some podcast, you have, for example, I have a section which I'll feature this interview, which is called Francesco as a guest. So whenever someone invites me on a podcast, they can also get featured on that website. And it's basically a website. It's done with Docusaurus. There is the tech stack, but I don't want to talk more about what the idea is about. So if you create content on different platforms or you just want to share links, it's hard to keep to have track with all of them. So the first thing that I did is that I created a GitHub repository, for example, with all the people inviting me, or at least most of the people inviting me. Probably I missed someone and I will make someone upset. But this idea is to have some sections and also a search functionality. So for example, because I do different types of content, I work on blockchain, I also on blockchain, on Docker and all the web development stuff. So if you type like Docker or DevOps on the search part, you will find all my content related to Docker and DevOps. So this is something that I've been working on. Probably it's related to Docker and DevOps. There will be a lot of Docker stuff there. So this is my current side project. I need to find time to do more live streams, but they will be for sure. So this is something that I've been working for a while, and of course, always working for for daily dev. We're always really kicking. We can say we have a company gathering in less than a week. So this is also, of course, that's my job. So super excited to do this. We're planning some videos out of that, and of course, events. We have a Twitter space today, so a lot of stuff in that part. That's it.
Yeah, really like the idea behind the content box, and of course it is powered by open source, so anyone can see it and anyone can contribute. So yeah, thank you so much, Francesco, for agreeing for this interview, and really learn a lot, and good luck for your future journeys. Yeah, thank you so much for joining again.
Thank you so much, Pradumna. It really make me feel like as a great guest. And yes, so really wish you best of luck. Remember, if you like this series, to like the video, leave a comment, engage. We are here for you. So yeah, I'll check this video in a couple of days. So just check it out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And before we end this, each and every link Francesco mentioned, his socials and everything will mention in the comments below. Make sure to check out his LinkedIn, Twitter, and follow him. Of course, he create amazing content on Docker. Of course, this podcast is all about Docker, Kubernetes. So do check out the links in the comments. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.